Hello and welcome to the next video. In this video I'm going to be talking about the Tianjin street fight experience that I had while living in China the first 5 years. Now, I believe that this was a scenario that played out in 2015, if not early 2016. And before I can go into it, I was not in a fight. So, very clear, I was not in a fight. And I'm not titling this, I didn't title it in a way to clickbait. It's just, it's a street fight, what I had seen. So, what happened? Well, at the time, I was living in an apartment complex not far from Tianjin Nankai Joy City Mall. And the reason why I wanted to be able to walk 1 or 2 blocks to and from work, and from this mall that was pretty popular and had a lot of stuff going on. However, if I went in the opposite direction, if anybody knows the train lines in Tianjin, line 1 is right there, and Haiguansi, being the train station, is there. And it's also a couple blocks away from where I lived. I forget the name of the building. It'll probably come to me at some point in this video. But anyway, so one night I decided, I'm gonna go to this bar called Truman's, which I think now has changed names to something else, but it's the same overall look. Tiny little place in an alleyway. You have to be taken by someone there, otherwise you're not going to find it. It's in an alleyway in another series of apartment complexes, not advertised from the street. All wood kind of place, very tight quarters, 2 floors, big expat hangout. Open late, prices were reasonable, and so on. So decided one night, you know what? I'm gonna head out to Truman's, grab a drink, and just chat with some of the people there. So as I'm walking out of my apartment, I'm walking towards Haiguansi, and Haiguansi, there's an intersection of a major street, which is Nanjinglu. And at the intersection of Nanjinglu, and I believe it's Weijinglu is the one that goes to Nankai, and then it becomes Tonggandao. Anyway, I'm getting to this intersection. At the corner of this intersection is this big department store supermarket called Carrefour. Think of a Walmart, but it's the French version. And there's a lot of foot traffic that comes in and out of there. It's a popular intersection as well. So I have to cross this major intersection, go down maybe 1 more block, turn right, and then to the alley bar. So I get to the intersection, the light's changing, so I'm not able to cross, and it's a huge intersection. There's probably about 3 lanes coming each way on one street, and then either 3 or 2 coming the other way. So I stop, and there are some people going across the crosswalk. So I'm looking in this direction, where Nanjinglu is, and I hear some voices not far behind me, male and female voice, and in Chinese, and it sounds like they're having a fight. So I turn around and I look, and it's this couple, probably in their 20s, and the girl is having some kind of verbal fight with her boyfriend, who I assume that's the boyfriend. And she's throwing what appears to be a tantrum. She doesn't want to move, doesn't want to do anything. I forget, one of them was holding a bag, like they probably purchased something. And, they're having it out. At a certain point, I think she was holding the bag, he grabs the bag, and she has, and pulls it, rips it out of her hand, or something to that effect. But didn't touch her. As I'm looking back and stopped at the corner of this intersection, I hear another voice coming from the crosswalk that I said where people were finishing crossing because the light was changing. So turn in that direction and see another Chinese couple crossing the street, and the girl is yelling to the guy who's having the argument with his girlfriend, hey, don't touch her, or don't do something. Maybe don't treat her like that. Turn back and I see they're still having their argument. A moment later, the boyfriend of the girl who said, "Hey, don't do that," or "Don't say that to her," runs to that guy. At the same time, some other random guy runs towards him. So now there are two bystanders or locals who are running to this guy. Now, right before that happened, the couple that was having the original argument, I think the girl, like I said, she was throwing this tantrum, and this is a very common thing in China where girls will throw a tantrum. Right, wrong, or otherwise. And she throws this tantrum, and I think when he had grabbed her bag, she fell to the ground. But he didn't push her. It was just, I guess, from him pulling whatever it was, her purse or bag, or whatever, just yanked that out of her hand, she just fell. And that triggered these people to run at him. So this guy notices there's two guys running at him. So he starts running in my direction with these two guys chasing him. So I'm at the intersection. I don't know where, of this major street at night by myself. I don't know what's about to go down, but because I've done martial arts before, I instinctively take one step back, have both of my hands up ready in case, it spills over in my direction. Because my options are run in the street in one direction or the other, and no, I don't want to get hit by a car. So, and the sidewalk, if you know where Carrefour is, the sidewalk is wide at points but narrow at others because there's parking and there's railing on the outside of this market, mostly for scooters, and to kind of separate the pedestrian traffic on the wider part of the sidewalk in front of this place, with people just going up and down the street. So options are few. Run into the street, jump over this fence and hope I don't hurt myself in time, or just kind of prepare for whatever's coming. So I decided to prepare. As the three men approach me, they kind of swing past me, thankfully, probably about a foot away. And what I see is one of the guys grab the boyfriend who's having the argument from behind, holding his arms down. And the other guy cocked back his fist and hit him on the side of the head. And I don't mean with a solid punch, a boxer's punch, but I mean with this part of his hand. And it looks very comical, didn't look very hard, which leads me to believe he didn't know what the hell he was doing. He was just hitting him however he could. What makes it even more interesting is the girlfriend that fell down comes running to the defense of the boyfriend who's getting beaten by these two guys. So when the guy hitting him cocks his arm back, she grabs his arm, and he didn't notice it, so he throws that next weird fist. And as the girl's she was holding onto his hand, so as soon as he swings it back, breaks her grip, and she falls down. After he hits the boyfriend, he notices something was holding his arm back, so he looks, he sees the girl, shrugs his shoulders, and keeps wailing on the boyfriend. This goes on for a couple more strikes. I think the guy that was holding him back in a bear hug drops him to the ground. The guy striking him rejoins his girlfriend. The other random runs off, and everyone goes to the four corners of the wind, or the earth. And as I'm watching the aftermath of this, I see the guy's on the ground, he's holding his head. The girlfriend's just crying because she just saw her boyfriend get beat up. And eventually the light changes, and I just make my way to the bar after witnessing this random attack on a local by other locals. Weirdest thing I'd ever seen. But it, as I mentioned to other expats, and I'll mention it here, this proves one thing. Not everyone can fight. Not everyone in China knows Kung Fu. And I know that's a stereotype. But clearly this situation showed me both things. And it taught me that if you know how to fight, if you know how to defend yourself, you are at a competitive advantage against a lot of other people in China. I'm not saying start fights. No, you're going to get in trouble, even if you're in the right. I've heard and seen too many stories, and I'll talk about a few in another video. But it just shows that Chinese people fight in groups, don't know how to fight generally, and sometimes stick their nose in where they shouldn't. In this case, this couple was having this argument. Nobody's hitting this girl. She didn't ask for help, but they just decided. But two random people decided to butt in. Anyway, that's my Haigunsa fight story. See you guys in the next video.